and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
They tell me, Gladys, you know you love too hard. But I tell them not nearly hard enough. They say, girlfriend, you know you go too far. Around the world ain't far enough. 'Cause I only wanna show you what you made to me. Every time I'm reaching out to you, I start to sing. I may be drowning with desire from your sweet, sweet touch. I don't care what people say, 'cause I love you so much. Love overboard. Love overboard. My love's in need of help. Love overboard. Love overboard. I sure can't help myself. Love overboard. Love overboard. I don't know what to do. Love overboard. Love overboard. I'm so in love with you.
Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. You were locked in with Joel Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Here with your entertainment news update. And you know, Andy is always on theme. Shout out to my mama. Gladys Knight was one of her favorites. I have seen Gladys Knight in concert so many times as a child. And I loved it. Got to see the classics. And we're going to be discussing Miss Knight tonight. She says she's healthy, happy, and just fine. If you weren't aware, last week her son, he spoke out, accusing her husband of elder abuse and some other things. He's got some questions. We may too. So we'll get into that and what Gladys' response was. We're also going to be talking Uncle Nearest, the black-owned whiskey brand that has been breaking records for years now. They're staring down a $108 million problem. We talked a bit about that last week, and we're going to dig into those details. You know, we have a Law and Order beat here on the show because we're always, thank you, Andy, we are always getting into these cases, and it only makes sense to bring in an expert to break them down, you know, get into the intricacies of the whole situation. So we have entertainment lawyer Nyanza Shaw in the building, and we're going to get into those details. We're also going to talk about, you know, Drake's added some people to his lawsuit, i.e. Rock Nation. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how that is proceeding and get into those details as well. And Colman Domingo, Academy Award nominated Colman Domingo. Look, he is sharing how a couple months ago he almost got recruited into a cult. Yeah. So we'll get into those details in a second. But for now, you know, we always have to start the night off with a couple of conversation starters. Listen, prayers up for Tamar Braxton. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure what happened. But she took to social media and she revealed that there was a recent medical emergency where it appears she may have blacked out. She said she woke up in a pool of her own blood, that she's lost a couple of teeth, and she looks a little different physically. So assuming maybe something happened with her nose or something of that manner. She didn't give full details yet, but she says she's recovering and she has a new outlook on life behind this incident. I'm sure when she's ready, she'll share. I'm not sure if they're in season yet on their new reality show, but perhaps this is something they'll cover. Or she'll tell us, because Tamar's pretty transparent on social media. So we'll get into that, but, we'll keep an eye on her journey and send her lots of love and light, because that's a little strange, no? And listen, we get our support where we get our support. And I suppose if you're on reality TV, you're used to sharing everything. But sometimes I got a question. Just, did we need to share that now? Maybe someone was going to expose her. She's just close with the Tamarshians. Isn't that what they're called? Her fan base? Something of that nature. So, yeah. But if you're not ready to share why are we sharing incident? It's only going to make people ask, what? Right? Right. When we come forward, we're going to get into these trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Want to extend that barbershop shave at home? Try Gillette Skin Guard, designed specifically for men who battle shaving irritation. With this irritation defense bar, 2 comfort blades, and a touch of aloe, it helps avoid shaving bumps and irritation, leaving me looking my best. I find it perfect for when I need a clean, fresh look, especially between barber visits. Tailored for black men, it's easy to use and offers the comfort my skin deserves. Stay confident between cuts with Gillette Skin Guard.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide, based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Of course, if you want to join the conversation at any point, 800-920-1580. That's how you can come and share your thoughts with us on these very topics. Of course, you can hit us up on social media. KBLA 1580. Me personally, I'm at Stiletto Jill. You can download the app. It's all shiny and new with new bells and whistles. can catch past episodes, not just of this show, of all the shows on the station. You can leave a little voice note for us. You know, there's even a place for you to post your photos and things of that nature. It's a whole universe. Go check it out. And if you are so inclined and you want the visual experience to go along with this audio excursion, tap in with YouTube. There is a whole community going on there. The YouTube chat is always opinionated, always active. We love them in there. Shout out to them. So those are all the ways that you can get in touch with us. Now, we're going to get in. Well, before I do that, I should introduce Nye, right? Right. I absolutely should. So before we get into these trending topics, I told you I have a guest, entertainment attorney Nyanza Shaw. She is a strategist. She is an entrepreneur. She is many things. She wears many different hats. She has assisted some of your favorites on the business side, which people always forget. The business side, which should come first, not all the glitz and glam. So Nyanza Shaw is here to help us break down some of the legal topics and add in her take. I'm sure this one is something, when we talk about Gladys Knight, I'd like to hear your input on as well.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are y'all related?
No.
Y'all look like y'all could be sisters or something. Just, you know.
We're just good friends. It is
Yeah.
great to be back.
I like it. I like it.
Thanks,
So,
Andy.
you know, my Bay Area. Now, you're from the Bay, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I was like, wait, let me not get it wrong. My Bay Area sister. No. You are my sister friend, you know, if we use that terminology. I don't really do that, though. Not that I'm opposed to it. I just... Anyway, I'm rambling on. We have Nyanza Shaw in the building. She's going to help us break down these topics. So, first up, Gladys Knight. You heard us with the Love Overboard from Gladys. I believe that was a solo Gladys Knight album. The Pips were on that one? Okay. All right. Because I know she had a couple of ones that were just Gladys Knight, not including with the Pips. I thought that was one of them, but I guess not.
All Our Love, 1985.
Yep. Love Overboard. Shout out to that. Maybe I'm thinking of Save the Overtime for Me. Maybe that was the solo album. That might be on this album. Anyway, Gladys Knight history. We love Gladys Knight and the Pips. We know that she has been working in entertainment, music, acting, all of the things since the 60s, right?
Yeah.
An illustrious career. She's 81 years old. She's on tour right now as we speak. And recently her son, Shanga Hankerson, and if that last name sounds familiar, it should. His father is Barry Hankerson. He of Blackground Records. That's where Aaliyah was signed. That is where Timbaland was signed. Tank, you know.
Yeah, eventually, yep. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, all of those people. So Barry, the ex-husband of Gladys, was a music manager for quite some time, and that's kind of how he got into the mix and started Blackground Records. That's a story for another day. His son Shanga, he's raised alarms about Gladys's health and her new husband, her current husband, William McDowell. Hankerson claims that McDowell is mentally and financially abusing Gladys, and he questions why she is still working at 81 years old, right? He's filed a complaint in Bumcount County, North Carolina, right? And his quote, he had an interview that he did, I believe it was last week with the Shade Room. He said, why is she working? Why is she in this situation where she's made to believe that she has to work like this, right? Well, Gladys has recently responded to these accusations via Fox News Digital. And she said, I'm sorry that my health and performances have been misrepresented. I want my fans and those concerned to rest assured I am doing very well for someone who has been on stage for 3/4 of a century. She also added, right, that she's been traveling, visiting family, and is excited to get back on the road with the Queen's tour. So here's the thing. Obviously, money from whatever angle you want to look at it, has some influence over all of this. But it's, I'm of two mindsets. She said she's been working 3/4 of a century, 75 years. She's 81, right? And I'm sure she's had some beautiful vacations.
Mm-hmm.
But, when is it time to rest and relax? I don't know. She could get her joy from performing in the stage, but we know that touring is grueling.
Yes.
It really is. As exciting as and fun as it looks, that is a hard life. So I do wonder, but Nyanza, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's interesting that she was so adamant about being fine and about her health that he would file a complaint, kind of insinuating that he might seek a conservatorship or something like that relative to the control of her finances, because the question seems to be more about her husband's involvement, control, etc., of the finances versus just her out there working. And obviously we're not familiar with the behind the scenes of the relationship between her and her son. But it is interesting that it would go to, that extreme with the response that she had. There are other situations where we haven't seen people out, and then there are some concerns, but she has been out and fine and performing. And so for him to then come up and say, oh, this is a problem, it's interesting to know what stemmed that.
I do believe she had some health issues in the last few years as such. There were some other rumors about other things. Might have stemmed from some issues she had back in the day related to gambling, right? But no confirmation or anything on that. Just, the streets talk, the internet talks.
Yeah, and nothing serious that I recall. I mean, there were
just
a couple rumors here and there, things that had happened.
But I don't know, Gladys is smiling, like you said, saying, but is it a case of, I'm going to stand by my man? I mean, because that's a hard thing when it is your current relationship and your adult child. Could she be in a position where she's vulnerable and he's taking advantage? Of course. And no one wants to see that. But I hate when these things play out in the press.
Yeah, because we also don't know what is happening behind the scenes with her financial state, let alone her mental and physical state, right? And so all of these questions now being brought in front of the limelight without a lot of background information seems very odd.
So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one, see what develops. Of course, we love Gladys, and glad as far as we are concerned, from her lips, that she is okay.
And we hope she is.
And we hope she is, exactly. So let's talk about Uncle Nearest. It was founded by Fawn Weaver in 2017 in honor of Nathan Nearest Green, the enslaved man who taught Jack Daniel to distill whiskey, right? Obviously, Nathan's family does not get, I don't believe, a proceed from Jack Daniels.
Not from Jack Daniels.
Yeah, but they do from this.
They are involved in.
But from, what he initially created, he does not. So this was sort of started in homage to that, in addition to creating this great whiskey. It's been a cultural juggernaut, right?
Yep.
And now, creditor Farm Credit Mid-America says the distillery owes them $108 million in outstanding loans, claiming that they misrepresented the number of barrels of whiskey that they have, and they wanted to take control of those barrels as collateral. And a Judge Ashley Jr., he ruled on August 14th that the company will go into receivership. So, Nyanza, could you, one, explain to us what receivership is and what that means for a business, and two, kind of walk us through the steps of how a business could end up in such a position and what it really means overall.
Absolutely. I mean, the case itself seems very straightforward. They took out a loan, and a lot of big businesses take out a loan. It's actually includes 3 different loans. So there's been a process where Farm Credit Mid-America has given them additional monies as recently as April 2025. They revised the loan agreement. And so this has been an ongoing relationship. So it seems like when it gets to the point where they're not getting repaid, and most lenders don't want to own property and don't want to own whiskey barrels, they want to get repaid, right? And so if there's any inkling that they don't feel like they're going to get paid, then this is the step that they take to say, okay, you're now in default. We want to figure out where is this money at. So a receiver is a person who comes in, it's the third party person that takes control of the company to manage the assets so that the current owners aren't in a position to liquidate the assets, devalue the company, do anything that would mitigate them being able to repay this loan. And in this instance, the creditor is saying, not only are you in default in this total amount of $108 million, but there are certain provisions related to that loan document that and contingencies that were not met. Some of it is payments, some of it is disclosures, and some of it is relative to the valuation of barrels that seem to be off. So there was a hearing, I believe, on August 7th, first, that Keith Weaver, Fawn's husband, appeared at. And to be clear, remember, this is a civil lawsuit, so there's no criminal charges involved. And they admitted that they're in default of the loan. They're not denying they're in default of the loan, but one of their defenses is that there was a CFO who was responsible for the miscalculation of the valuation of the barrels. And that CFO is no longer with the company. The judge did not necessarily agree that they could then, put that blame on the CFO, and that, as a CEO, you should know what's going on in your company. So whether it's the CFO or somebody else's responsibility, you're ultimately responsible. The other big thing that came up at that hearing and in the subsequent hearing when he did decide, yes, there's going to be a receiver appointed, was relative to the marketing of the company. Because what was really interesting is Keith is saying, oh my God, it would be catastrophic if Fawn was removed because she's the face of the brand, as we know, and it would then harm the business and the marketing of the business because she's basically the marketing juggernaut behind it.
Right.
And so that also came up in that hearing. So actually, as of tomorrow, both parties are able to submit names of potential folks to be the receivers for and oversee the control of the company. And it hasn't been determined specifically what her role would be moving forward.
So there is a gag order that is attached to it. Do you see, because I see a lot of commentary saying, and to your point, taking out a loan as a business, it takes money to make money is an old saying, and it's very true. A lot of people I've seen in comments are saying they're trying to take the company they're trying to take something black owned away from us. Do you think that it is something, maybe not that on the nose, but do you think that it is something to it being a profitable business? And you said that creditors don't want to own property.
No.
But most people believe that they do.
No, banks loan money all the time, even in a mortgage situation, very basic, right? But they want to get paid for, they don't want to own a whole bunch of homes. They want to get paid back for their mortgage and for their loans. I'm glad you raised the gag order issue. It kind of came out twofold in that initially they said, we definitely want Fawn to continue to market the company because we know that that's valuable. And even Farm Credit's lawyers agreed to that and said that's important. So the gag order obviously was relative to the case and the perception of what's happening and the positions that she's taken where it's like, she's said statements like her back is against the wall and we're built for this and, we shall overcome, rah, rah, rah. Some people are saying it does create this perception that they're taking something from her. Actually, that's what it kind of sounds like. Not even that they're taking something from the company, that they're taking something from her. And so I don't feel like that's an appropriate perception. But do I also feel like she's not really communicating her position as best as she can in terms of still wanting to value the company and taking accountability for the fact that, admittedly, you guys are in default. This is not a made-up claim. This is not, just random allegations. It's factual. You all took out loans that haven't been paid back.
Interesting. Andy, you look like you had something. No? Okay. Well,
come on, Andy. You don't have a question or a comment?
Forrest Harrison in the chat says, as many bottles of Uncle Nearest I've purchased over the years, they should have more than enough dollars. So you personally are holding them down. I believe it. Listen,
I believe it. I think what's interesting, though, is even with the clear the shelves narrative that she's selling, most of those bottles that are out now are consigned, paid for, etc. They're not going to hit the bottom line revenue and have any effect on this lawsuit in the short term. So that's also why some people are questioning her motives of that messaging.
Well, the fans don't know that, and she just wants to, try and run it up. I'm not mad at it. When we come forward, we'll have more with Nyanza Shaw. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, baby girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you. Let me buy you a drink. I'm T-Pain. You know me. Convict music, never boy. I know the club goes at 3. What's the chances of you rolling with me? Back to the crib. Show you how I live. Let's get drunk, forget what we did. I'ma buy you a drink.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is backing a move to stop courthouse arrest of immigrants.
If people are afraid of the legal process, then they will live in the shadows and people will prey on them.
Adams adds they'll work with ICE on dangerous gangs, but judges, not arrests, should decide someone's fate. The Texas House is fast-tracking redistricting now that Democrats who fled have returned. Republicans aim to push through a map giving the GOP more seats, which Democrats say hurts voters of color. California Democrats are also moving to redraw lines to boost their representation. And Oklahoma now requires teachers from California and New York to pass an America First test to work in its schools. The exam covers biological gender, state history, and controversial claims about the 2020 election and COVID-19 while cutting lessons on George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
A crash in Montebello, 60 eastbound before Paramount, has been blocking the 2 right lanes, sending the drive back from the 5. Also, Griffith Park, a wreck on the 134 eastbound at Forest Lawn has been blocking the right lane. We're seeing a backup getting away from Bob Hope Drive. Glendale, it's the 134 westbound Pacific Avenue off-ramp. That's a crash, and it's blocking the off-ramp now with the backup away from Brand Avenue. The drive in Anaheim Hills, a wreck on the 91 eastbound at the Scales. It's off to the shoulder, and that drive is pretty heavy away from the 57 freeway.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, they've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
5 HBCU football programs and their school are about to get some major exposure thanks to ESPN. The network is doing live broadcasts of the highly popular First Take show on 3 HBCU campuses and 1 in Birmingham, Alabama. The Birmingham broadcast, scheduled for October 24th, coincides with the Magic City Classic on October 25th between Alabama State and Alabama A&M. First Take is hosted by celebrity sports journalist Stephen A. Smith and Molly Curran. Stephen A. is an HBCU grad from Winston-Salem State University. The other dates for live broadcasts on an HBCU campus include August 28th at Norfolk State, October 29th at Delaware State, and November 20th at Bethune-Cookman. First Take is a live 2-hour show that airs Monday through Friday on ESPN, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Time. The show is repeated at 9 a.m. on ESPN2. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Thinking about going electric? Now is the perfect time. Electric vehicles cost less to run, don't need gas, and need fewer repairs than gas-powered cars. You can also save with federal and state tax credits, and in some areas, qualify for rebates on home charging stations. To learn more, visit www.breedsocal.org. That's www.breedsocal.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So real quick, I need you to name me your top 3 Nate Dogg songs or where he sung the hook. Obviously, Regulators doesn't count. That's you know, it doesn't count because it's already established. This is what I'm saying. We already know Regulators is on the list. It's there. It counts, but it's there. For me, Area Codes, right?
Area Codes is a good one.
What else do I got?
Nah. E40.
Oh
yeah.
The homies can't fade it. Yeah. I'm so elated.
That's a good one.
Straight banging. Battle Cat.
And I like Groupie Love.
I'm gonna go Oh No with
that's a good one.
Most Def and Pharoah Monch.
I forgot about that one. That is a good one.
Why are we naming off Nate Dogg songs? Come on, y'all. Y'all bright. Happy birthday, Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg will be 56 years old today. He passed away in 2011 at 41 years old.
Wow.
Legend. He was 41. Take care of your health, black men. All of us. But just whenever I think about some of our luminaries from the 90s, 2000s, and where they are health-wise, DMX, Irv Gotti, Nate Dogg, you know, there's several others that we can name, we know that have gone through health crises.
Yep.
Take care of your health. So they all won't be out there trying to pick up hospice wives. But that's a conversation for another day. Andy's like, what's a hospice wife? I've told you these old guys really, really want these young girls, not just because they're young and hot, so somebody can take care of their old self when they're broke down and the diabetes, the sugars kicks in and all of the things. I'm just kidding, guys. Kind of. All right. Anyway, listen, I'm here with Nyanza Shaw, entertainment attorney, and we are talking what is going on with Uncle Nearest. The whiskey brand has been placed in receivership, you know, and we've been talking about for the past few months since he launched it, right? Drake and his suit against UMG. Now we know from hip hop, the standpoint, what Drake is doing is simply wrong. I will admit that there are some things from a business perspective, right? If you just take isolated things, I can understand the curiosity factor. However, when you've probably been a benefactor of some of these streaming bots or tactics. 2, you were okay with the chips falling where they may when you were on top and the winner, i.e. Meek Mill. I think that Meek Mill's career suffered much worse than Drake's did from that battle. Just saying. But what are your thoughts? What can you explain to us? What can you bring to the table? A lot, obviously, about this situation with Drake and UMG that maybe the average person isn't seeing, that doesn't have a legal background or doesn't understand what he's really asking for.
The case is interesting, and how it makes him look is even more interesting, right? Because in the culture, it does make him look crazy to like lose a beef and then sue the company. I think one basic thing that people overlook is that he's not suing Kendrick Lamar. He's suing the label for defamation, saying, oh, you defamed me and caused me harm by promoting this person's record above mine and all of these things, right? But what's interesting is that he obviously revised the complaint after the Super Bowl to kind of double down on things. As you mentioned, he's added other parties in the process. But last week, in a discovery motion, he was asking for documents related to a unredacted full copy of Kendrick's contract, and including any domestic violence claims against Kendrick and all of these other things. And also has now inferred that the CEO of UMG, Lucien Grange, was behind some sort of scheme to devalue his career. And so for the first time, Lucien Grange spoke out and sent a declaration letter to the court last Thursday saying basically the lawsuit's ridiculous, all the claims are ridiculous. He used the word farcical, which I think is brilliant. And one of the other things he says in his letter is, by the way, I'm too busy running the world's largest music company to be in the weeds on a beef between Drake and Kendrick, which is a little bit of a flex, but also like, that's really what we're doing. And most importantly, saying, to your point, we've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Drake. So why would we want to harm his career, devalue his career, or why would we want to create this scheme, which is different than, I know some of the major points is just relative to how you promote a record, how they're spending their money, if it was natural or not natural, and they kind of pushed certain things for it to be bigger, which is a hard claim to make when a record is just virally huge.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It literally
everywhere.
was. It was a perfect storm. Let me ask you, since you brought up business, Drake's deal with UMG is coming to an end very soon. They were in negotiations while some of this was going on. And I feel as though he's using that as sort of the basis as they were trying to gain some leverage over him utilizing that. Could there be any truth to that?
I'm not sure, honestly, but I know to your point, they were negotiating. They're not currently negotiating, but that might be totally separate from and distinct from the lawsuit going on and the claims being made versus, you know, his contract might just be up for a renewal and might just roll forward anyway. The only difference maybe in negotiating the terms would be monetarily or how long the extension is.
Interesting. We have a caller on the line, Vet from Carson. Welcome in, Vet. How are you this evening?
Hi, I'm fine. I just got out of school, so I caught the tail end of the Gladys Knight situation that you were talking about. But I did go on the internet and read, and just very briefly, if this wasn't mentioned, I would like for people to keep in mind that unfortunately Gladys Knight's son Shanga has been in financial troubles of his own, and was sentenced to 2 years and then 1 year of probation for owing over $1 million in taxes. The restaurants had to be shut down.
Right, Gladys's Chicken and Waffles. He was responsible for running them, and they shuttered under him, correct?
Yes. And during that time, he made some of those same claims about Miss Knight's mental health when she was telling him, take my name off of those restaurants. You know, she didn't want her name to be involved with what was going on with him, what he was doing. And so because she was so adamant to be separated from what was going on with him, he was like, my mom needs to give me time to take care of this, and she's not doing well mentally, all of that. He was making some of those same claims. And so it's just interesting now that he's asking for conservatorship and saying again that she's mentally not doing well. And she has a daughter. So I'm sure that her daughter's name is Kenya. I'm sure that if something was going on with her, Kenya would step up, and maybe Kenya would ask for conservatorship. And just a personal thing, just to say something good about Miss Knight and her husband. I used to follow her husband on Facebook when I had an account, and one of my high school friends was dying from cancer, and I reached out to him and said, hey, my friend is dying from cancer. She lives in Vegas. They lived in Vegas at the same time. And I asked him, could you reach out to her? And he put that word into Miss Knight's thoughts without me knowing. I just gave him the contact information. Next thing I know, my friend is posting on, see, now I'm about to cry. My friend is posting on Facebook that she got a surprise call from Miss Gladys Knight, and her husband was the one that set that up just because I reached out to him, not even knowing him, and asked.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of other elements behind the scenes that we don't know about. But again, I think the biggest point you made was Gladys says she's fine, so for right now, we believe her.
Yep. Thank you for the insight, Vet. I appreciate your call. When we come forward, we'll get into more trending topics and headlines, more Drake, and we have another call.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind-the-scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. I am here with entertainment attorney Nyanza Shaw. And thank you for that, Andy. And we have a caller on the line, a fan favorite, Eric from Carson. Eric, welcome in. What do you want to discuss this evening?
Hey, Miss Munroe and Miss Shaw. I have 2 points, but in the interest of time, I'm going to pick my favorite one.
Okay.
I want to talk about what you just mentioned about Drake's lawsuit. And my point is that the purpose of a diss track is it must have an element of truth in order for it to be to resonate. And so Drake has made his point by filing the lawsuit. And Kendrick meant what he said, in my opinion, and that lawsuit says, I'm not a pedophile, and you're not going to call me that. So if the song had not blown up, this would be short-lived and would have been a moot point. But because it blew up, it became worse, and I feel like they both have got to stick to their guns.
So let me ask you this, right? When Drake dissed Meek in Charged Up and Back to Back, right? He accused him of a couple of things, did he not?
He did.
So why was that okay? If by your same logic.
I would like to answer your question with a quick point.
Okay.
If you don't, I'm a dark-skinned male, And I have a friend who likes to play the dozens and bag on everybody. So he called me black. Well, it was funny because I'm dark skinned, and so it was true. And he wasn't trying to hurt my feelings, but he made a statement that was true. So he has a partial handicap. And so he was born with cerebral palsy, so he has a frozen arm. And so I had to go big. So I went for the frozen arm, and I made a slur about it, and everybody fell out laughing. And then 3 people were like, Aaron, how could you say that about him? But I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Call me black. And we are bagging. And so my thing is that both of us went to the truth, and that hurt. And Kendrick calling Drake a pedophile, calling Drake a pedophile, I don't care why he did it. The point is that Drake didn't think it was funny, and his lawsuit proves that. And it doesn't matter whether he wins or loses the lawsuit. He's made his point by filing it. That's my point.
And damaged his credibility in the space that he works in. Drake.
You think so?
Have you read here's the thing. I'm not saying that Drake doesn't still have fans, or Drake's not going to put out music and people aren't going to
He put out
listen
a record
to
this
it.
year that did well.
Right.
He's touring.
Nokia, still a bop. What did I miss? Still a bop. But, right, not that they haven't already thrown darts at Drake and will continue to do so, but a big part of Drake's thing has always been relationships, especially with upcoming artists. You think about when he jumped on Bad and Bougie with Migos. You think about, hell, Kendrick early on, The Weeknd, things like that. We see him riding the streamer wave, but musically it kind of boxes him out to me. Nyanza, what do you think?
I do think it's a lot about reputation, but I kind of agree with Eric in a certain sense where the perception is that this makes him look like what Kendrick accused him of being by being so defensive, by taking this action, by kind of riding this wave and making it like it's worse than it was. By the way, calling anybody a pedophile is terrible. Let me clarify that. But to then say that the label defamed you by promoting that when it's clearly just a viral song seems like a little bit of a sore loser in a beef.
Some sucker stuff. Some sucker stuff, Drake. And
it
like
makes him
you,
feel
Drake.
like a sucker.
A little bit of sucker stuff, Drake.
And like we said, it's all about perception in the industry, right? And so, and with social media and unfortunately now with lawsuits, because people can file a lawsuit about a lot of different things that may or may not be true, how people respond and how they handle them, whether it's Fawn and how she's handling and responding to her lawsuit on social, and or how Drake is handling this beef with the lawsuit. Like, it's all about in the culture, what does that make them look like?
Snitches get stitches. I don't believe that, though. I do think that there's a time when you got to speak up and speak out. You know what I'm saying? However, at least for Drake, this probably...
Yeah,
this ain't it, bro. Eric, thank you as always for calling in. We always appreciate. Wait, hold on. My bad, Andy.
I need some clarification on your stance, Eric. It sounds as if like you're on Drake's side on this whole situation. Like he should, go further with this lawsuit. Am I hearing you correct?
Now, the old me would have took the bait, but the new me, is going to say it's not about sides. It's about what Ms. Shaw just said. The bottom line is that calling anybody a pedophile, that is low.
Come on, though. Come on. I'm sorry. This is hip hop. When have we gotten soft, Tommy? Real talk. Are we really creating a boundary when it comes to pedophilia? You know what I'm saying? As far as
what
this
I want to
stuff?
know?
Come on, y'all.
You know what I would like to know, Andy? I would just like to close with this. What was the basis of Kendrick?
Oh, we know what I can tell you what the basis is. It was Drake's friendship with Millie Bobby Brown. It was the young girl saying Drake reached out to me on Instagram. Drake was in my DMs. It didn't come from nowhere. I'm not saying it's true. Hey, but there were some incidents that were easily pulled from to kind of set him up in that range. Again.
Hey, Jill.
Yes.
Remember how I started with the example I gave of the bag contest where we both said something that was true, and it was funny.
Right. Well, Drake should have.
And then
Drake had to stand on business. He did it to enough people. He should have stood on business. Thank you for your call, Eric. Listen, every Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m., that's where you can tap in and find me, your digital play cousin. I want to first up thank Nyanza Shaw for joining us tonight. She will be back because there are always legal situations for us to break down here, and we appreciate your insight. Nyanza, tell them where they can locate you on social media.
Absolutely. You can follow me at Shaw Esquire on Instagram, Facebook. Look me up on LinkedIn. And it's always great to hear and see you in
I
real
love
life.
that, right? Sign up for her
it's great.
newsletter. It
Yeah.
has lots of informative takes and information that keeps you in the know, all right? And make sure that you're back here tomorrow. Oh, by the way, I have tickets for you guys tomorrow. I have a giveaway. Yeah, more Hollywood Bowl summer nights, and you guys are going to love the tickets I have for tomorrow. You're going to love it. All right, coming up next, the voice of reason, Zoe Williams. I'll be back here tomorrow.
Good night.
Good for the getting, I'm a rider. Whether in a hoodie or a linen, a provider. You should see the jury on my women, and I'm living it up. The squad stay filling the truck with chicks that's willing to trizz with us. You say you got a man and you're in love, but what's love gotta do with a little menage? After the party, me and you could just slide for a few, and she could come too. That's love. Got to do with it.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is pushing back on President Trump's claim that his crime crackdown is making the city safer.
This doesn't make sense.